grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's Agricultural Sciences lesson. My name is Amanda Fumba. This program is funded by Northern Cape Department of Education, broadcast by Pagama Research and Development. We are working on examination questions. I want to take you back to your term 1, whereby you have to look at your paper 1, where we'll be dealing with animal nutrition as of now. So which means our focus area for today will be on animal nutrition, which takes you to your first week of your grade 12, where you have to know the structures that we are going to look at. So the lesson objectives that drives us today, we are going to look and you are expected to compare the external structure of the alimentary canal of a ruminant, whereby we'll be focusing on a cow or a sheep. And we are going to look at the external structure of non-ruminants, where you know that will be assessed on a fowl and also on a pig. So you are expected to look at their external structures. You must know the alimentary canal of a pig, the alimentary canal of a fowl, and also the alimentary canal of a cow, which is the ruminant that we'll be looking at. Secondly, you are expected to understand the functions and adaptations of various structures of the alimentary canal. If you mention the rumen, you need to look at how is it structurally suitable for its function. Lastly, you are expected to understand the description of the internal structure of the rumen. The internal structure of the rectum, of the reticulum. You are expected to know the internal structure of the omasum, as you are also expected to know the internal structure of abomasum and also of the small intestines. So as you study your alimentary canals, you must be able to label, which means you'll be able to identify if you are able to label. At the same time, you are expected to know the functions, and you'll also know how is it structurally suitable to do its function. And don't forget to look at the internal structure of this rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum, and also the small intestines, where we'll be looking at the inner part of the small intestines, where we'll be discussing villi. Remember now, our main focus is on revision. You have done this in your term 1, and you were assessed by your control test and your topic test. At the same time, you also wrote your June exams, where you were asked on all the activities or in your content for paper 1. But now our focus is only on animal nutrition, the alimentary canals. So let's look at which questions to expect in your multiple choice question, or how this information is assessed in the multiple choice questions. The process whereby food is pushed through the alimentary canal, the food is pushed through the alimentary canal by the contractions and the relaxation of the muscles is known as. So which means here you are asked to understand this process. What is this process? Which means you'll be given 4 possible answers as processes, but you have to choose the correct one. So the processes that you are given is rumination. Is it talking to the statement? Is digestion talking to the statement? Is peristalsis addressing the statement? Or is absorption addressing the statement? If you read the statement, it talks about the process where food is pushed and the alimentary canal went into the alimentary canal, where there will be contractions and relaxation of the muscles. Then we are looking at which process amongst these 4. You have to choose only the correct one. The part of the alimentary canal of ruminant animals responsible for chemical digestion. This alimentary canal in the ruminant is responsible for chemical reaction. This is the part of the alimentary canal. Which part is responsible for chemical digestion? Is it rumen? Is it reticulum? Is it omasum or abomasum? So now you need to understand the functions and the adaptation of these parts of the stomach. Then now you go to your responses. When you go to number 1.1, your main answer will be C, which means it's peristalsis. That is correct. And then for your 1, 2, the part of the alimentary canal which is responsible for chemical digestion, it will be abomasum, because abomasum will refer to it as a liquid stomach. Hence, now we are talking of chemical digestion. We know we have different types of digestion. We have chemical digestion, we have mechanical digestion, we have enzymatic digestion, okay, and microbial digestion. Let's look at this question, whereby you'll be given statements that addresses the one that you are given, and then they are being combined. So now the main thing that you are is assessed here, are you able to combine the information that is talking to the statement? It says the small intestine is adapted for effective adsorption of nutrients because it has many folds. That is the small intestine. How is it adapted? It has many folds that they increase the surface area. Its length decreases the surface for absorption. It has muscles that contract and relaxes to move the nutrients. It has small finger-like projections. Then what are we talking about here is the internal part of the small intestine, which we refer to it as villi. So you must choose the correct combination. How is this villi structurally suitable to do its function? Then now, what is the most important one? Number 1 is correct. Its length decreases the surface area. It does not decrease. Instead, it increases it, which means it's only this letter that does not talk to the statement. It has muscles that contract and relaxes. As the food moves into the small intestines, it moves downwards through the process of peristalsis. Yes, villi, it has the small finger-like projections. So which means the correct answer here, it will be number A. As the memo says, it's A. Let's look at this one. Why I included it. It has a structure that you have to understand. You must analyze and be able to interpret the information that you are given. The following statements refer to the adaptation features of the structure. You are given, this is the structure of a villi. So you are given A as what? As microvilli. Then you are given B, you are given C. Part B represents blood capillaries where amino acids are absorbed. Are they absorbed at part B? Digested fat is absorbed at part C. Part A, it decreases the surface area for absorption. Absorption of glucose occurs in part B. So you must choose the correct combination. Is it number 1, number 2, or number 4? So the correct answer, there's something missing here. It's supposed to be A, B, C, and D. Okay. So when you look at this, the best combination is number 1, which is D. Number 1, and then number 2, and also number 4. Because part A does not decrease the surface area, instead it increasing it. Let's look at terminology. That's what you need to understand. The enzyme in the saliva of pigs are responsible for the chemical change from starch to simple sugars. A digestive gland in the alimentary canal, then your focus must be on the glands. As here, your focus must be on the enzyme that is in the saliva. So this digestive gland in the alimentary canal, it secretes both digestive juices and hormones. This is what guides you, what I underlined. An alkaline liquid. Which liquid is alkaline? So this alkaline liquid is produced by the liver. Then you ask yourself, what does liver produce? As it is produced by the liver and released into the small intestines in order to assist with digestion of fats. You already have answers there. The rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscles in the alimentary canal for the movement of food. The stomach compartment, here is the contraction and relaxation for the sake of moving food. The stomach compartment of a cow where most of the enzymatic digestion takes place, as it does not occur in the mouth. The structure in the wall of the small intestine that increases the absorption surface. So the enzyme that is in the saliva is the salivary amylase, which is also known as ptyalin. A digestive gland that secretes both digestive juice and hormones is pancreas, and that alkaline liquid which is produced by the liver and then deposited in the small intestines in order to assist on digestion of fats, where we talk of emulsification, which is the breaking down of fats. That alkaline is bile. That rhythmic contraction and relaxation of muscles in the alimentary canal for the movement of food is peristalsis. The stomach compartment of cow, where most of the enzymatic digestion takes place, it occurs in a liquid stomach, which is abomasum. The structure in the wall of the small intestine that increases the absorption, we refer to it as villi, or we talk about villus. Let's look at these questions. Firstly, I decided to take one animal at a go. The diagram below shows alimentary canal of a farm animal. So you'll be given diagrams, and in some instances you'll be given 3 so that you can apply the comparison. Name the farm animal. The question says name the farm animal, which means you must give the name. And it is different when the question says you must identify the type. Now the question is focusing on the name of the animal that is represented in the diagram above. Looking at this diagram, what is this alimentary canal for? What you are going to look at, you can see B. What is your B, your A, your C, your D, and E? At all times when you look at the diagram, your focus must be in the stomach. Let's move. Write down the letter, whether A up to E, of the part of the alimentary canal where physical digestion occurs. So when we talk of physical digestion, we also refer to it as mechanical digestion. So you must also write the letter where ingestion of undigested food takes place. So when we talk of ingestion, we talk of excretion. And lastly, we look at where chemical digestion occurs, or where it takes place. Once you see chemical, you must think of liquids. And which liquids are we talking about? We talk of saliva, and then you'll be able to respond. When we talk of chemical digestion, and when we talk of mechanical, as it has the word machinery on it, which means the machines that are working within the animal are the teeth. Okay. State the role that part B plays. Part B. What is the role of part B in digestion of food? Write down the letter of the part that corresponds to the stomach of a pig. Okay. Here are the expected responses. The diagram is of a chicken, or is of poultry, or is of a fowl. Identification of the letter, where physical digestion, it takes place at C, and C we know that it is gizzard, which is the ventriculus. Gizzard or ventriculus. Ingestion of undigested food, We look at E, which we refer to it in a chicken as cloaca. And the chemical digestion, where is it taking place? It takes place at A, which is the proventriculus. But now you were asked to write only the letters. The role of part B, which is the crop, it moistens, at the same time it softens as it soaks the food. The letter that corresponds with the stomach of a pig, it will be part A, which is the proventriculus. Proventriculus in a chicken, it functions as the stomach of a pig. So the comparison is also asked on this question. Let's move to the second one. The first one was on a fowl, which is a chicken. Let's look at the second one. You are given this alimentary canal of a farm animal. You are also asked to name this farm animal. Indicate the importance of A, and you are also asked the importance of C. Okay. In the digestion of feed, how A is important in digestion, how C is important in digestion. So you must read the question. What are you asked? Are you asked about absorption, or are you asked about excretion, or are you asked about digestion? Explain the mechanical digestion as it occurs in the alimentary canal of the farm animal identified above. How is this mechanical digestion take place in this animal? What is the name of this animal? The name of the animal is a pig. Why are you saying it's a pig? It's because it has one stomach without compartments, and it's not the same as it is in a chicken. What is the important role of part A? And part A was directed to the stomach of a pig. It assists in the chemical digestion of food, which means in the stomach there is chemical digestion that occurs. Part C, which was directed into the small intestines, it assists in the chemical digestion. At the same time, it assists in the absorption of food. And normally we say absorption of food takes place in the small intestine. Explanation of mechanical digestion. What do you mean by this mechanical digestion? The key words that you need not to forget is that during mechanical digestion, it is the breaking down. It's the food that is broken down. So it is the breaking down of complex food particles. How is it broken down? It is broken down into smaller particles through physical objects. Or you can say is the breaking down of food particles into smaller particles by teeth or by physical objects. The third one, the first one we looked at the fowl as per our exam guideline. We also looked at the pig, and now we are going to look at this one, which you need to state what is it. So it also illustrates the alimentary canal of a farm animal. So you need to know these farm animals. You must know their external structure, their internal structures. Write down the letter A of the part where cellulose digestion occurs. So cellulose digestion occurs, go to write only, it says write only the letter A to D. Is it letter A or B or C or D which is responsible with the digestion of cellulose? Name the cellulose digesting enzyme secreted by the organism in part A. Cellulose is digested in the rumen. So when we talk of rumen, which means what structure is this? So this is the structure of a cow, or it can be of any ruminant that you know. So which one is the cellulose digesting enzyme? The enzyme that is able to digest cellulose. Then we talk of enzyme cellulase. State 2 requirements of organisms found in part A. All in all, you are asked conditions in which you find the microorganisms. As you know that the microorganisms you find in the rumen. Indicate the type of digestion that occurs in part D. And you can see part D that is opening up into the small intestines. Okay. Give a reason for your answer. What is the type of digestion that takes place in the abomasum, all in all? That will be chemical digestion. Why are you saying chemical digestion? It will be chemical or enzymatic digestion. That is the type of digestion that occurs in the abomasum. Because part D, it secretes digestive juices, or it secretes the enzymes. So the letter of the structure we indicated as A, and the type of an enzyme that acts on a cellulose is an enzyme cellulase. The requirements of microorganisms in the rumen. They are easily digestible carbohydrates, or they easily digest carbohydrates. Regular intake of food, which means they will be there because there is food. So the presence of food. Sufficient mineral nutrients that are indicated. Anaerobic or oxygen-free environment. You'll find them where there is no oxygen. Presence of carbon dioxide, sufficient nitrogen, suitable pH, which is 5,5 to 6,5. That is the suitable temperature. Warm environment whereby the temperatures will be 38 degrees to 42 degrees Celsius. Lastly, the continual elimination of the end product or osmotic condition. So all in all, you find them in the moist environment, or you find in the environment that is wet. We already looked at the type of digestion and why are we saying is chemical digestion. The photographs below show the internal parts in the alimentary canal. So now you are given the internal structure as per the exam guideline. So you are given part A, part B, and part C. Identify part B and C. So what is important here? You are guided by the instruction that this is the alimentary canal of ruminants. And the ruminants, you know that it has the rumen, it has the reticulum, at the same time it has the omasum, and it also has the abomasum. And the exam guidelines, it has indicated that you must know the function and the adaptability of each structure. So if you know that this is a ruminant, you must be able to tell how is it structurally suitable to do its function. The reticulum and the omasum, how is it structured? Identify part B and part C. Part A, you can see that it is the omasum, and that is part B. And then part C, which is a honeycomb structure. And normally the omasum will refer to it as the leaf-like stomach. And part C, which is the reticulum. Reticulum, we normally say it is a honeycomb-like structure. Briefly describe one function of part B. What is happening on part B? The food that is not well digested, it is taken back to the rumen, and many other functions that we look at. Name the structure in part A that is responsible for the production of heat. What makes part A to be more warm? So what is this structure that is responsible for producing heat? And we refer to them to rod-like structures, which are papilla. State one requirement of rumen microbes. In which conditions do you find rumen microbes? Then we look at omasum as reticulum, as I indicated. What are the functions of omasum? They trap hard and indigested substance, or they separate the coarse food and fine food materials. They grind the food particles. They send the large substances back into the rumen which are not well digested. What happens in the omasum? Water is being absorbed, and absorption of some volatile fatty acids. So we indicated the papilla and the requirements of rumen microbes. They are discussed on the previous slide. Let's also look where you have to do the comparison. The diagram below, it shows the alimentary canals of farm animals. Firstly, you must be able to identify whether you deal with a ruminant or a non-ruminant. If you look at diagram A, it has got so many compartments. Diagram B, your focus is on this one. It's not just a simple stomach as it is in a pig. So here you deal with a fowl and here you deal with a cow. But you haven't checked the questions yet, so it's for you to identify and recall whatever you have studied. Let's look at the questions. Classify the two animals represented by diagram A and B. You are expected to classify these two animals. So when you classify, we are looking at the groupings of these animals. Diagram A is in which classification and in diagram B. Name two adaptation features of the animal in diagram A that enables to survive by feeding primarily on hay. Which features that they have that makes this animal, which is represented by diagram A, to be able to survive on feeding on hay. Give a reason why animal diagram B cannot be fed a ration that is high in a crude fiber content. It's a ruminant or a non-ruminant. That is diagram A and B. How is it adapted to diagram A? It is a complex stomach. Okay? So we also refer to it as a compound or polygastric, or we say this animal, it has a fourth stomach or reticular rumen. There is large fermentation vessel, which is rumen. It has rumen. You can say that. Presence of rumen microorganisms or microflora. Reasons for not feeding diagram B with the food that has a ration in crude fiber content. It's because diagram B, it has a monogastric or a simple stomach. There is no fourth stomach. The absence of microorganisms, which means it cannot digest crude fiber. We are looking at this question. Firstly, I want us to focus on these three diagrams. There is diagram 1, which is of a fowl. You look at the stomach for you to be able to identify. And you see a simple stomach, which is a single stomach. Then we are dealing with a pig. As you can see, we have many parts of the stomach. Then we deal with a cow. And you know that a cow is a ruminant. And you know a pig and a fowl, they are the non-ruminants. Already you have collected your mind there. Classify the animals with the alimentary canal represented by diagram A, diagram 1 and diagram 3. Which alimentary canals are represented by diagram 1 and diagram 3? Support your answer. Provide the reason for each of the answers. Why are you saying diagram 1 is that? And why are you saying diagram 2 is that? That means the age of the animal with the alimentary canal shown in diagram 3. What will make you to identify the age? You are looking at your letter E. And it can tell you whether this animal is young or is old. Give a reason which is visible in the diagram to support your answer. Animals with alimentary canals as diagram 2 and diagram 3. Diagram 2 and diagram 3 cannot digest feed with the high crude fiber content. Justify this statement by giving one reason for each animal. Why diagram 2 and diagram 3 cannot digest food that is containing crude fiber. Identify the letter in diagram 1 and diagram 3 that represents the part where renin is secreted. So it is important and wise to know all the alimentary canals. Let's look at our memo. Diagram 1 is a non-ruminant. Number 2 is a non-ruminant. It's a ruminant. Number 3. Diagram Y. Why are you saying it's a non-ruminant? It has a simple stomach. Monogastric stomach, or you can identify a ventriculus, you can identify a proventriculus. Diagram 3 It is a ruminant because it has got 4 compartments. Hence we say it has a complex or a compound stomach. The age of that diagram 3, we say it is young or it's a calf. Why are we saying it's a calf? It's because there is presence of esophageal groove in that diagram. It has underdeveloped rumen, reticulum and omasum, but the abomasum is the biggest one. Justification of animal not digesting crude fiber. Diagram 2 will not be able to. There are no ruminant microorganisms to digest the crude fiber. Diagram 3, rumen is still underdeveloped, which means it's not functional. Identification of the letter where renin is secreted. In diagram 1, it will be B, and in diagram 3, it will be E. The last question that we must look at. The flow chart below shows different processes involved in the movement of food through the digestive tract of the farm animal. Food is taken in through the mouth. The food is ingested. That is the process. The food molecules are broken down. What do we call that process? Digestion. Is you talking to your questions. Soluble food particles, they move across the walls of the small intestines into the blood. Dissolved food particles are taken up by the body cells. I want you to think about this. Which one is assimilation and which one is absorption? I want to see. Undigested food is eliminated from the body. Name the process C, D, and E. Already you have involved yourself that by interpreting that information, you'll be able to answer C, D, and E. Match the description below with the process in the flow chart above. Write only the letter. It is important to respond to the question. Next to the question number 221A. So which means this is 221, this is 222. Finger-like projections will increase the surface area of the nutrient uptake. Enzyme digestion, where is it taking place? Name the enzyme in the non-ruminant that is responsible for the digestion of food. That is absorption, and D is assimilation. Excretion is E. Indication of the letter of the process, which is C, finger-like projections, which means is what? Is absorption. And D is assimilation. Enzyme digestion occurs. Where is it taking place? At letter B. We looked at the memo. That takes us to the end of our lesson. Thank you. Thank you for watching this lesson. See you next time. Don't forget to browse through on other question papers. See you next time. Goodbye.